Hello, hello, hello. This is Truth Be Told. This is Dr. Walter Aka.
Hey, and this is Leroy Horton. And listen, Walt, I'm so excited today because we got my man Jerett Williams back. Okay, the concierge dentist from
That's it.
from from Texas. We've had him. You've seen him on the episode before. And then before I introduce our next special guest, everybody knows I'm the chair of the scientific committee for the National Dental Association, right? Which sounds like a great title. Just means I participate a little bit. And we had Jerett come talk to us and give a 3 hour lecture this last summer, which was standing room only, right? So I want to give Jerett his flowers on that. Thank you, brother, for coming to contribute. And as we were planning for this year, out of the blue, someone sends me, I think it was Marcus. He sends me this promo video. He goes, "Hey, you've heard of this thing called DARKCon?" I'm like, "DARKCon? What is this?" Right? Bruh, tell me why 30 seconds into this video, I'm in here getting hyped. I'm like, yo, we gotta go to this. The promotion, the production, the concept, 100% fly, dope, loving it. And that's from someone who could potentially be somewhat of a competitor in this space of putting on programming, right? Um, so I just wanted we got to hear the story because it sounds like this is a brainchild of a couple of an amazing doctors down in Texas. And I see you, Dr. Jerett Rose, on a lot of these videos. So if you can give us your backstory, and I'm assuming that this is one of your brainchilds, you can kind of give us the conception of this thing called DarkCon as well.
I mean, first, me and Jerett, we give all glory to God. When we started this, it was more so of an intuition or something, a feeling that I can't even say it started off organically between me and him because I met him at an NDA conference and we exchanged numbers and it was like a handshake and we kind of in the past by we was talking and then it more so like I started placing implants about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Well, about a year and a half ago, and then I'm always a rowdy guy, like band all the troops together, unity, let's get it. So I'm in the group and he talking. I'm like, y'all, we need to stick together. We need to come together. And Jerett, like, man, we just got to do it. And we didn't know what we was doing, honestly. And in the video, I said this is a vision of the heart, and everybody not going to see it. And everyone has sight, but everyone don't have a vision.
Mm.
And with that is when you leading with a feeling and you know you're not leading, this is something bigger than us. This is God. This is us following what Jesus said to do and go heal people and fight for the wrongdoing of a lot of things that happens in our industry, as well as go against the oppressors. I was talking to Jerett about 2 days ago, or even today. I was like, doing this, you have to find your Goliath in this. You have to find your reason to stand behind something. And I look at the NDA as like not competitors at all because this is a unity. This is a unified thing, and we know who the oppressors are. We know who we fighting for, and we know what's in the end of this. He always say this is a suicide mission, and because our ultimate goal is to make it to the kingdom, to do what's right and serve the Lord. So when we hit, it was, I wouldn't say it's an instant connection, but it was more so of like, all right, I understand your gifts, I understand my talents and gifts. Let's put this together. Let's see where it go, how far it go. And I promise you, when two more align together and they start praying and everything start flowing its way, you'll start seeing people just, you know what, I was thinking that. I was thinking that. And the synergy started coming. And and when God say he'll give you all you need for this journey, he'll put it right in front of you to say, this is the community I need you to serve. A little about me. A lot of people may say I'm a cosmetic dentist, but I always tell people I'm just a general dentist, man. Like I was blessed with the ability to go into my community and help them. And for a long time, my background, I didn't even consider myself a dentist. I was more of an artist. So that's how I would say you felt that feeling in the video because I have a background of music. I did that for a while until about 2 years ago. Jesus came to my life and he changed my life completely.
So, real
Well,
quick, just give me.
I do want to say we never say just the general dentist around here. General dentist, I always That was my background for a lot of years. I
Yeah.
always like to give my props to my generalists because
Mhm.
generalists are the quarterbacks of
Yeah.
everything. You know, everybody has their space in this, but there's a unique talent that it takes to be a really good generalist because you're literally dabbling in everything and you're quarterbacking everything.
Yeah.
So that's as amazing as everything you said. I'm just gonna strike out the word just because, brother, you are, anyone that's in our space, I give a lot of love and appreciation to, and generalists they feed us, and so we can't say just. But what were you gonna say? Well,
No, I was gonna say, let's talk about DARKCon and what is the mission statement for DARKCon? Like, what are you guys trying to accomplish with DARKCon? Because there are a lot of conferences out there now. I feel like there are conferences for influencers, there's conferences for everybody in dentistry. But you guys decided to make a new conference. So I'm trying to figure out what the actual mission statement is for your conference.
So before I answer that question, I just want to touch on how we got to this point.
Okay.
So, as you all know, I've been speaking for some time now, and I went to this conference, and I'll leave the conference name redacted. And I went to this conference and I was like pleasantly pleased because it was a 2-day conference and it was on implants along with other things. And I looked at this, I was like, wow, this is nice. But when I looked around, I was like, there's no black people. And I was like, huh, this is weird. Now it's normal, but this time it was a little different because one of the speakers that were there, I was like, man, this is amazing. Now, the reason why I even got there is because I am attending at the GPR program here at UT, the residency program. So I was able to get in on the low. So I was just like, let me go and it's cheap. And then I could also meet and greet with some people. So when I get there, I was like, man, this is a really nice conference. It's at a really nice hotel. We have really nice speakers. I was like, how come this doesn't happen more frequently? So I go back into the group, the implant group that Dr. Rose was talking about, and I said, hey, we need to have at least 3 black dentists speaking at at this next conference next year. And this group that I'm referring to is an all black dental implant group, is a black implant collective. And I would shout out Dr. Jero Akpabome, who is stewarding that. And so I put it in the chat. And so when I put it in the chat, it went down. And what I mean by down is this: I was like, we need to have 3 doctors come and speak. And when I said that, they were like, who's the conference? Where? I was like, wait a second, guys. This had this speaker at this time at this hotel. Nobody knew about it. I was like, this is crazy. Like, everybody should have known about this conference. And I put that in there and it just went flat. Now, I'm a speaker. I have that exposure and so on and so forth. But I was just like taken aback because I was like, there was no representation, like none. And the level of giftedness we as black dentists have, it will blow your mind across the board. So I'm sitting in this group, I was like, man, like they have to see this, and nobody's seeing it, right? Nobody's seeing it. So Rose hits me, he was like, yo, let's do it. And I was like, instantly, bam, let's go. And when we started planning the conference, it was based upon this mission on these 9 core values. Number 1, in education. Most times when you go to a black conference, you don't get a lot of education. It just isn't. There's going to be more fraternal partying, so on and so forth. It's
Yeah.
just the truth. I've been there, done that. Another thing is excellence, like across the board, like excellent, everything that you see. And we have the capacity to do that. Then you have the exposure. A lot of the reasons why blacks don't exceed is because sometimes the knowledge and the exposure just is lacking. And then when it comes down to the culture, community, and
The career.
community, and career, those are Rose's thing. Like he's in the community, and you see it heavy because that's who we are as individuals, right? And then when it comes to black people specifically, it's going to be the past older doctors. Focus on them; they stay together in their little bubble. Then you have the younger doctors, they stay in their own little bubble. And then you have the present who stay in their own little bubble. And nobody's bringing all these powers together. And so it's like, if we were able to bring all these perspectives together, this is what you have, DARKCon. And so when you look at it, DARKCon is dental aesthetics, rehabilitation, and knowledge. And so That's what our mission is. And we're not trying to do anything. I mean, the amount of individuals that have said, hey, I want to be a part and I'm actually going to do the work is mind-boggling. And I believe the reason why it's mind-boggling is because number one, Rose hit it on it earlier. He stays in his lane, I stay in mine, and I say, man, God, use this man to use his gifts because if I make him look good, by default, I look good. And what ends up happening is it's so frequently there's a cannibalism approach that happens. Like I have to get the shine. Like I find value in being in the back and letting Rose do his thing. And oftentimes it's not there, especially among men, professional men, and then men who are operating at a high level. They're always like, I got to get a one up. And in this environment that we're creating, it's like, nah, man, there's so much out there
It's a
that we
certitude
all can
environment.
benefit.
Yeah, just listen to you. It's almost like it's a servitude humility posture, right? Because my job is to make sure that he does well, and then vice versa. So if I'm serving the community, in turn, I'm being altruistic, but also I see that it'll come back. But I'm not worrying about money. I'm not worrying about fame. I'm worrying about my next man getting educated. Because God say, "My people perish for lack of knowledge," which means if he's educated, he will make sure that he always what's your capacity? We always say, "What's your capacity?" Well, if not now, who can do it? If not, and we always say, if not, it's not how, it's who, which means how many people can you lead? Well, if I know him, I know he can lead. His capacity is about 3 people. All right, and he loved this. Let's give him 3 people to steward. And it's us just to make sure that people get stewarded in the right direction because we're not leading this at the end of the day. The Holy Spirit is.
All right. Well, let me ask you this because there's probably 3 things that have been pressing on my mind since I've been following you guys, right? Um, One of them, and I think we should just get it out of the way. I mean, me and Walt have talked about this. There's what we kind of consider somewhat of an issue in the Black community, especially with the prosperity gospel, right? So when you come across an event that heavily relies on the identity in the verbiage and dialogue
Yes, sir.
of you know, something being meant by, designed by, guided by a creator. And then you also look at, okay, VIP package is 4,000. We're selling crypto. We're selling art, right? We have these access for investments and all that. Do you ever fear that in wearing your identity as strongly as you do, you're blurring these lines of capitalism and religion in a way that you're almost leveraging this prosperity gospel to sell what a
I
purist would
don't.
say would be a educational endeavor?
I don't believe we preach prosperity. It was more of a knowledge, and that's the thing is my people perish for lack of knowledge, and it's opportunity. And as my good brother would say, because he know I'm all about the community. If we can make it free, I would. But it's stewardship of what God brought you, in order to say, hey, if I bring you the bag of, did Jesus talk about the parables, the 5, the 2, the 1? If you can handle this, I give you more. And it's us about storing these. We're going out and doing our job, but also it's your job to say, let's invest in your future too as well. I'm not challenging anyone. I'm not preaching that you're going to become successful at this. But I can say through my connections and that what God has brought me, I can share it. That's the servitude. If God brought me 3 dentists that I can have and hit up and say, hey, would you mind speaking on this panel for me, brother? I ain't got nothing for you right now. But if you come and serve, you may show that you can lead somebody with your education just at one time. That is not prosperity preaching. I don't. Matter of fact, I always talk to people about why all these preachers preaching about success and wealth. It's struggle. It's pain going on. He know. I speak about pain because I've been through pain. My David versus Goliath is the people in the hood that can't afford dentistry. They can't afford it. It's too high for them. It is not accessible. You make great doctors and you go back to your community and serve them. And serve them. Over $100,000 of free giveaways. We ain't even got to put a number on that because we give it away all the time. But when you go with the heart to serve, that's what's going to show in your community. I'm big in the community, not just the dental community, but where I'm from, because I see people thinking about just pulling the teeth, knowing that they can save it. So, yeah, it's about not prosperity preaching, but my people perish for lack of knowledge. And it is your job to meet us halfway. It is your duty to say, hey, we putting it being out there and seek it. We're gonna do our best to shed light in the darkness. That's the whole symbolism. Shed light in the darkness. There's a lot of darkness going on in the world right now. And if we raise clinicians up to not just be better doctors, but better people, they will in tune help. That's the thing. Help, serve. It's not about the money. It's about how much can you go back and serve. Store your riches in heaven. So the principles come from a great book, not just the Bible, but a great book that a lot of books that's built off of. It comes from the Bible. So why not go straight to the source? I don't have to water down anything when I'm going straight to the source, fresh out the water.
Right. So, I mean, I think what we're confused about, and I want to kind of put it out there and kind of say this directly, is you look at the early bird and you see it's 997, right? And then you look at the platinum VIP and it's 3,997. And this is a 2-day course. And the question I have is who is your target audience for this conference? Because it's rich. I couldn't afford it as a student, so you've eliminated dental students, and I couldn't afford it as a new grad, so you've eliminated new grads. And there's 3.8% of dentists who are black. So I'm trying to figure out who your audience is for this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's simple. Ages 26 to 45, doctors in their prime, individuals who are right out of residency and they are wanting to take their skills at next level. Individuals who are serious about what they're doing. You and I know both coming from West Africa. My wife's Nigerian. Nigerians love to be late.
Oh, well, okay, okay.
No, 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 no. You asked a question. You asked a question. Let me go
We
there.
kept that trait.
Yeah, we gonna press that button. We're gonna press that button.
Right.
Nigerians have a wonderful, do a great job of being there. Not all of them, but a good
Right.
amount.
No, no,
My
no. I
wife,
hear you.
right? My
I
wife.
hear you.
And so we've adopted that culture. And so but if you look at the ticket pricing,
Yeah.
you're almost getting half for a regular ticket if you ante up. But what happens is we have to put some pressure on you to make a decision. Not many times will you have a conference that you know what you're getting, you know who's giving it to you, and you're getting excellence at the same time. There's always like a bait and switch. We're giving you everything so that you could see. Now, when it comes to the higher ticket prices, we're going to be giving information that is going to change your tax bracket based upon the experts in the field who are doing it, and there are dentists. It's kind of like some of the individuals that we're bringing on have been in the likes of the White House doing what they do, making six-figure trades in a day. So it's like, and actually having that research and actually proof of concept that they're actually doing it. And sometimes it's hard as a clinician to believe somebody else who's not like that, because in the other community, there's been a guy who swindled who swindled thousands millions of dollars from a group of dentists. And so the
Mm.
thing is, this is like these things happen all the time. That what I want to say is this is like too much is given, much is required. And so there's going to be a level of trust that's present. But the good thing about it is that Rose and myself, our track record is so long.
Right.
There's
What
no,
I still think that $900 for a new grad is pretty high, don't you think?
well, the
Like,
thing
do
is,
you
this
guys
is like,
have like other
no, no,
tiers
no.
that we're not showing?
No, what you see is what you have. I mean, the
Okay.
information, the what the tiers that we have, we
Right.
based it on just research of looking at other conferences. The
Okay.
conference that I went to, it was priced at the same. As a matter of fact, some of the prices that we have are cheaper than some of the other conferences.
And I
Okay.
always,
And on top of that,
it's
and on top of
affordable.
that, the speak. Oh, I got you. Like, and then on
Okay.
top of that, the speakers that we have blow all those other people out the water just across the board. I don't care what color you look like. And so
Right.
And
we're
we got
giving
homework.
them the best of the best, and we've done our research.
Oh no, I hear. I mean, listen, I don't doubt the lineup. I don't doubt any of that. I just still think in order for people to get there, that's substantial amount of money. And then
I,
that's not even considering traveling or hotel.
Oh,
all right,
oh.
let's challenge this, Dr. Walt.
Yeah, yeah.
And I always say, what is your value number? And I'm saying, what is your value number? You don't think, but how many conferences have you went to and you paid over that? How many courses have you went to and you paid over that? How much did you actually pay for your dental education?
Right.
And you learn in a decade in one day, right? So you getting not just successes, it's a rubric in dark talk to talk about your failures, right? Because when you talk about your failures, that's when people learn from the pain aspect. It's easy to learn from when you're up and winning good, but what's the pain that brought you to a certain area to say, avoid that, avoid
Right.
that.
Right.
So we're challenging the panelists, we're challenging the speakers, we're challenging the presenters to bring your best because this community deserves it.
I
So
think I'm the wrong person to ask because I financially am good.
Cheap. Because he's cheap.
right,
That's why.
so
Because
That's a
he's cheap.
given. That's a
so
given. But I'm
so
talking about like now. I'm talking. So the way I do is I mentor like dental students, and I'm just trying to. I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how they're going to make it to a
It's not for
conference like
dental
this.
students. We could cut that out. It's
Okay.
not for dental
Okay.
students. Yeah,
Okay.
it's not
All
for
right.
dental
All
students.
right.
and
Perfect.
we do ask dental students to come, not to pay,
Oh, okay.
not to
Well,
pay.
this is it.
So it's I know you the focus, right?
Got
The
you. Okay.
focus. I just invited one dental student to come shadow the whole day. Not even
Beautiful.
just that, to actually understand and learn, because the past, present, and future, when we broke the past, present, and future down, the young guns, the catalysts, and the OGs.
That's
And
it.
those experiences, we want to connect. We want to see them incorporate techniques and skills of how they got there. It's about being in a room. Um,
That's it. And that's what I was trying to get at was there has to be I mean just based on talking to you guys there had to be something that would incorporate the future in this because I personally believe that that $1,000 number for a dental student or new grad I thought was too expensive. Like I know what I went through, right? It wasn't until maybe 5 years later that I was able to say okay, I can afford something like that.
I mean, if you look at the AACD,
It
the American Cosmetic, they charge a lot.
1600. It's
Like
like
Right.
1600. Yeah,
so,
Right.
that's a low ticket.
so if you start going down the rubric of who charge who and what charge what community they serve, and
Right.
what aspects of what you get in education wise, you'll see that these are the most affordable numbers out there as conventions and conferences. Just look at it, and if this
Oh,
is
and I
research
don't
market.
dis I'm sorry, and I don't disagree with you, but you know what a lot of young people do? They learn from you guys on Instagram because they can't afford these things. If you go to these conferences, you see that they're all older dentists, right? Which is what we have an issue with, right? We're not bringing in the younger people, and that was kind of my thought process, really.
And that was one of our reasons to
Yeah.
reach back as well as reach forward, right? We know, we let's say we have this influence, right? We have this influence over this audience. Well, it's our influence that we steward and say, hey, Dr. Raw, hey, Dr. Leroy, you should come. Why should you come? Because we're going to be a connector that's going to get you around the young ones that look up to us, but we're respecting y'all because respect is transferable. A lot of reasons why people don't give respect because they feel like this new generation, they feel like they got to get it first. They don't want to earn no respect. We all
I,
can get to that, right? So if they see me submitting in humility to say, you know what, I respect you, OG, they gonna say, you know what, that's Dr. Rose. He respect Dr. Leroy. He respect Dr. Walt. In turn, it creates this passivity, like, you know what, it ain't too bad. It ain't too bad. And that is
so
my job, to lead in humility.
so what I took from that is that me and you are old, Walt, because we we're the old
Nah,
fogies that
nah.
are
The
complaining
OG.
about prices. Now, listen, I do got a question. I think your answer to my, your initial answer to my question, especially on the prosperity gospel thing, I think was great. I mean, that was a soundbite in and of itself. Your answer was great how you put it. And I think even from the get-go, when you talked about, we know who our oppressors are, we know we are behind enemy lines, and there's a nuance to existing, especially being Black in America, right? Whether you're newly immigrated, old immigrated, or foundational Black American, and so forth. Here's another question: as someone who's been in the CE space for a long time, and seeing your lineup, and seeing a lot of the excellence of your lineup, and I want to preamble this with my experience with Jerett, right? Jerett's obviously a little younger than me, but as I've looked at his content and I looked at his material, and as me and him have talked, as he's been on our podcast, and he's really described very eloquently his knowledge base, how he puts together his curriculums, whether they're one-on-ones or whether he's doing lectures. There's a trust that I have, like, yo, this is a competent clinician. Like this brother, Jerett Williams, knows what he's doing and he's teaching that. One of the struggles I've had is that a lot of people on are Instagram famous and you never see a case. And me and Walt talk about this all the time. Someone will have 60, 70,000 followers and you'll see them on platforms and you look at their page, you never see a case. It's them in bikinis, them dancing. And so as I've been vetting people, I've had this struggle of like, okay, I know we got to draw, we need celebrity to draw people in, but I really need to know, like we found out with Jerett, Dr. Williams, that this brother or this sister knows their craft. What is your vetting process, being that within your lineup, you do have a certain amount of celebrity in there? Um, some of them I have seen their work, other the ones that I haven't, but maybe I can learn from you as far as what is the best way to vet somebody to make sure that when they get on there, they're going to knock it out the park based on their prowess as a clinician, not just their celebrity. So I would love to hear from you on that.
Yeah, so the vetting process is we are creating an environment so the speakers could be shown in their best light, right? It's not just let me grab the smartest, let me grab the most published, let me grab the most famous. It's up to us to put them in the best light because everybody plays a role. Everybody has a different gift. Everybody brings something to the table and everybody has a different perspective. Let it be males, let it be females, let it be generalists, let it be specialists. And it's up to us to put them, position them in such a way that the attendees grab the most value because you're right. There are a lot of doctors who are just doing the social media influence and that's it. But it's up to us to create the curriculum, create the programming so that when an attendee pays their 99.97 or their $4,000, the goal, like I've been preaching to the team, is if the first few words that the speaker speaks, if that attendee can't say, "Hey man, that information has allowed me to pay for my trip, my
Mm.
flight, my food, and the entire experience." If they can't say that when we failed. So it could be anybody up there, but it's up to us to give so much value that the attendee leaves like, hey, I'm a better clinician, I'm a better individual, and I'm willing to serve at the highest level. Because the thing is, this is like, we've all gone to conferences and you've had some quote unquote great lecturers and they're terrible. And you leave with nothing. And you paid the double the prices that we have for this conference, and you get next to nothing. But because it's an established conference, it's up to us to steward this in this platform, not even an event, but steward this mission and this platform in such a way that attendees leave like, man, I'm a better person. I'm not just a better person at cutting crowns and taking out teeth or placing implants, but I see things at a human level. And what's happening with social media is people are walking in darkness. And that's why that exposure is super important. That's why it's super important to talk about the failures, because if we just go on social media or go to a conference and you have individuals lecturing about the Pharaoh principles and all these different zero bone loss and how to place the best implant or what implants here, it's just like people have lost the the human perspective of, hey, how about just being a great person? You don't need to have the best skills, but just having a understanding, yo, God has gifted you with a gift. And if you don't steward it correctly, so many people are going to be hurt. And so going back to your question, how are we vetting these people? There's going to be a certain level of trust, like you've said to me, like I've had this gift and you've seen. It's my job to make sure that these individuals that get on the stage provide the attendees with the most value, and that falls on us. So if our speakers fail, that's on us. We have to take 100% accountability on that, because if we're not stewarding them correctly, then everybody that comes is going to say like, man, that was a fail. And this is something that's going to be around. The plan is to be around for 20, 30, 40 years. I could pass this off to my daughter
And I would
and
say,
your son who's at Ivy League school, by the way. Just want to throw that out there.
shout out to the board that's created. It's a lot of benchmarks that the board has put together that make sure that this is what you have in this. This is in this collaborative effort between us and the presenters. But also they've created a rubric of we want to see this, we want to see this. Make sure you talk about this. Make sure you highlight this. But also one of the biggest ones that the board, Dr. Fatima, Dr. Monica, and Dr. Reed has talked about is make sure you show your failures.
Hmm.
Make sure you show them. We're not perfect. We're not perfect. Don't aim to be perfect because your mess up, your muck up can help someone get out of a jam. You tell your testimony. Tell the truth, shame the devil. Period.
And I would just want to put, I'm glad you said that. We have a phenomenal team. Like you may see us, Rose and myself, as on this podcast, but Dr. Fatima, Dr. Monica, and Dr. Reed, Shantae, these are some killers in a good way. And one of the things that we wanted to do is make sure that there is equal representation on this conference, not just a bunch of men running around saying we're in charge, and but having competent women who are at the top because there's so many our black women, our black queens are literally hurting in being in the professional space.
Hmm.
And so many times is that they're relegated as being objectified, like, oh, you look good, so you don't have a brain.
Yeah.
Or you just need to get paid the least and just kind of sit over here, or you just get that. No, no, no. We want to, we're not wanting, this is what we're doing. We're creating an environment to where everybody that identifies as being black, we're going to give you an opportunity to use your gifts. That's the goal. Like that is a legitimate goal. Our goal is for you allowed to use your gifts because if that individual is able to be like, man, I was seen. Oh my gosh, like I can't tell you. I mean, everybody has a mentor, somebody that spoke life into them, and their lives are 10 times better than where it is. Imagine somebody that looks like you, who's accomplished and has the platform to say, hey, I'm not going to try to get in your panties. I'm
Yeah.
not going to try to lord this over you. I'm not going to try to beat this over your head, but I sincerely want you to take it to that next level. And so frequently that's not happening within this black community. And so here we are. We're open. Giving you a platform to share you with your gifts for the world so that we could actually change the world, not just dentistry within the black community, but dentistry across the globe because this is so much bigger than Dallas, Texas, DARKCon 2025. This is something that is going to impact the globe legitimately. I just want to make sure that we touched on that and touched about those wonderful our executive board as well.
So, I want to kind of, you guys mentioned something at the beginning. Dr. Rose, you actually said this, that this is not a competition between the National Dental Association and yourselves,
Yes,
right?
sir.
This is not a competition between the two. The problem is this is a 2 week separation between their conference and your conference, right? It's in July, 2 week
Absolutely.
separation. So the one thing, and I also have noticed too that a lot of people don't want to go to these the National Dental Association conference because they feel like they see the same thing over and over again. They don't want to go to the American Dental Association conference because they see the same thing over and over again. I'll speak for the Perio conference. They see the same thing over and over again. You guys are now coming in here and you're injecting a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of fresh ideas, a lot of youth, a lot of like, I mean, when I say influence, I mean that in the most respectful manner this time. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Where you have people that legitimately I know, that I'm like, they're good, right? And you guys are presenting these people, and I wish that they would be at the NDA. You know what I mean? And so my question for you guys is, how do you not really? I know you don't see this competition, but it truly is though, because now
I
you're
would say
separating.
I would say competitions when you compete, you happen on the same day, right? When you go to a tournament, everybody plays on the same day.
Mhm.
So if you wanted to see if there was real competition, you would put it on the exact same weekend, and
Okay.
it would be like mano y mano. I don't look at it as competition. And if you want to get dirty and grimy, you say go same day, my block, your block, same St. Louis. Let's get dirty with it. But it's an opportunity to say, hey, I look at it as a platform. Like, hey, you go in there, you go this, and you share this, you go there. And if you choose to go to NDA, we're not hating. Go. Matter of fact, I may go to NDA this year.
You
I may
might.
go. Like not no, not to like because
Right.
uh like SNDA, they represent all this. Like I was telling Jerry, like, hey, maybe I get 40 on the 40 1 year. You know, like like isn't to shut down NDA. It is to bridge gaps to say, hey, if you want to go to the National Dinner Conference, or if you want to go to the one that is actually going deeper in more I would say specialized in something, then you go to DARKCon. But I don't look at it as that just my view. I may be blind, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What
So
well,
just
the reason I'm asking that is because you had to have seen that there was something that they were lacking in order to bring DARKCon into the equation. You had to have seen that there was something that was
There
lacking
was a
in the
space.
NDA.
There was a space and a need
That's
oh
it.
yeah.
that you're
There had to be
clearly
a space and a
providing
need for you
content
guys to
for. Yeah.
fill it. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, what did you guys notice with the NDA and all these other national platforms that you were like, this is not it for us?
So I would say this. So going back to that day, just so we go back to brushstroke, clear brushstrokes, right? We don't just skip over something. The only reason why we put it on that day is because when that conference that I originally went to, and it wasn't for blacks by blacks, or it was for blacks, but it wasn't like predominantly ran. The reason why we chose that day is because the conference that I went to was in the spring and we wanted to do it again in the spring. But when we were looking at hotels and wanting to provide some of the best hotels that we could possibly can with the number of people, everything was getting X'd out, X'd out, X'd out from Dallas and Houston. And so the only date that we could potentially get was the one that we had. And it just so happened to be around the time NDA was coming. I spoke at the NDA just last year. So I don't operate like that. I've never operated like that. And I'm glad that you brought it up because I know somebody's gonna say, then isn't this close? Nah, it's not even close. So I would say that. But that would be the rationale on what we did. Now, when I've gone to the NDA since, before I was in dental school, I felt that when I went there, the NDA does a great job of catering to the students and a great job to dealing with the older
That's it.
generation, which I call the mature doctors, not old, but mature, right? And they do a great job. But there's this huge chasm between individuals that are not even being present. Even when I spoke at the NDA, I was like, man, I see some people around here. And I was shocked. I was like, I've never seen you at a conference. And it was interesting, but that chasm is so massive. And so the thing is, this is like the reason why there's no competition because we're doing different things completely. It just so happens that the competition would be as if like there's only 3.8% of black dentists in the whole United States. So hey, y'all trying to compete? It's like no, there's no like it doesn't even play. Like if we were doing it on the same day, we're focused on stealing the SNDA students or taking the older doctors or the mature doctors. Then yeah, but this is
Well,
2645.
let me push back on that a little bit because I absolutely see it wantingly as competition. When I came into the NDA, my I was charged with revamping the content because that was exactly what they were hearing, right? Content's kind of dry. It favors to the older dentists. It's just too generic. There's no pizzazz in it, right? So this last year, I brought in the likes of you. I brought in Mark Bashara from Canada. I had Soldados. We had Neodent providing implant motors. We had hands-on training. We had Geislich providing materials to do hands-on bone grafting. And when I saw you guys came out, first thing I did is I went to anyone I could talk to the NDA and say, listen, whatever it is I've been trying to explain to y'all for the last year, I have an example personified
Yeah,
of what I've been talking about.
that's it.
This is our competition. And I say that in the space of love, not in the I want to see anybody do bad. I want to see us see someone that's doing something great and say, yeah, I want to emulate that. And in the same way that Dr. Rose was speaking on earlier. So I see it in competition that way, as a healthy way that, hey, we either step up to the plate or we just amicably step to the side and let the young guys from
You gotta step
DARKCon, Dr.
aside.
Williams and Dr. Rose take over. You
You
know
come
what I
on
mean?
with us
Right.
because
Yeah.
we need you where we're going. That's the thing. Like we need you where we're going.
Right.
Like
Right.
if you know where we're going, I look at so much stuff in the business of dentistry of why we're not owning a lot of things, why we're being middleman by a lot of companies. I don't look at it as competition. I'm like, we need y'all. Why? Because y'all know so many people and CEOs in upper places that don't belong there, but will charge that tariff on us, that will middleman us and nickel and dime us to death. And they already took away affirmative action. So why try to even fit in at this point? Why? So at this point, we need to start creating our own. We need to keep our ideals, create it. We need to start the research board. I see you do a lot of research, Dr. Leroy. I've seen you in the magazine and all that. Keep it. Get your studies. Maybe one younger dentist would develop an implant to your liking and you start placing it and doing research on African Americans now. And we put that back in the community because we know they're getting it for $10 and going to come sell it to us for $189. So that's why I look at the price markup. And yes, we need the OGs because they know the upper echelons in these businesses to say, you know what? Let's start our own business now. Let's do our own product chain, the supply line, because the price is going to increase now that Trump added a lot of tariffs and shut down a lot of borders now. So I look at all those things as not now the future that's going to put a damper on those future business people that get out of school with $300,000 to $400,000 in debt. Now, what they're going to do? They're going to open their own boutique style dental practice. That's another 340. Now, by the time you do it and want to have a kid, you're stressed out. And now you're taking a gun in your head because you didn't know you couldn't deal with that loss because nobody didn't tell you that, no, it's a cheaper way. It's a more affordable way to serve your community. You don't have to go out there and do what they say do and buy all these expensive products because they put a name on it. So, no, we need y'all.
Okay.
Well,
Uh,
I didn't know we were getting Mr. Jerett Rose
oh,
on
we
here, man.
are.
This man is preaching.
We
I
I've
love it,
watched
brother.
enough to realize. I watched enough to
I
realize
love
that
it.
we were going to
I
get some
love
kind
it.
of sermon and it was going to be beautiful. Let me ask you this, guys, and I think we can all agree on this, that the biggest threat to dentistry right now, in my opinion, is dental insurance. The harder you work, the less they seem to want to give you. Tell me if I'm wrong, right? So I'm hoping that DARKCon will have something to educate us on how we can take advantage and take our practices back.
Can I tell you this? I've been practicing dentistry for about 70 years. I don't take insurance.
Mm, you are a rarity. You are like what,
Let's
5%
start
of
that.
dentists?
And
Let's
He's been through the
start that.
community before. This is why I'm so big on serving your community. Because when you pour into them, it's the word of mouth. They're going to come and say, hey, I want to. Now we get into the area where people are seeking black providers now.
Right.
But even before then, it's about finding your community that you want to serve in and say, hey, because they're going to see themselves in you. And I see that y'all had my brother, Dr. Brandon Mack, on here. He
Yes,
said the
yeah.
same, like, you got to find your community. He served a different community than I do.
Right.
That's one of the things is tell him community you serve. Because he charged the 4,000s for his, I don't know his price per veneer, but he told you also about his ceramics per veneer.
Right.
I do similar work, but I also have a lab too. So I had to learn more knowledge to even get to the level that a lot of dentists are because I'm crafty. So I have to handshake my veneers stress out a lot of times, to get to that extra level of they're great, but also is it makes it affordable for my community to come in and receive a lot of dental care. A lot of my patients they don't get feldspathic. They come in and need full mouth, total rehab. And I always tell my young niggas come in, hey doctors, if you learn more tools if you learn more and put a lot of tools under your belt, you have a better way to serve you. You won't think about the money. You think about which way you help. You don't have to turn down every root canal. You don't have to turn down every implant to come in your office. And, because we are quarterbacks and we can keep a little, but we also have to share it to our specialists. And when we get out of trouble, you know. So it's like if you learn more, you'll be able to serve your community and you'll be able to charge what you like based off your overhead, on your business, on your overhead, and on what you got to do to make sure that you hit your bottom line number. Don't
Okay.
get in over your head.
Well, let me ask you this then, real quick. Are you guys going to have something at DARKCon to try to get our people and the people that are going to attend more educated on how to run a business, how to, go and deal with insurance, how to do a fee for service like you have? Are they going to have those kinds of programs? Because you don't see that in other conferences.
Oh, Jerett.
Yes.
Oh, yes, we're gonna have it. Yes,
Perfect. I just
Yeah.
that I was trying to this was an easy layup. I was really
Yeah.
trying
I
to.
was like, yeah. I was like, yes, you're gonna
Yes,
ask.
sir.
Yo, listen, man, I've loved everything I've heard so far. So I got my hard questions out of the way. I want to throw something a little lighter out there. Because as the older doctor, as the grayish, gray in my beard, one of the things I struggle with, especially with the new generation, whether it's my kids, right? My kids range from 18 to 28, right? Is how we present ourselves and what we project. And I'll give you some examples. There was a brother that everybody on this panel knows, but I'm not going to say any names, that I was trying to get for a conference. I had actually secured a really big bag, was going to pay him more than anyone else on the panel, right? But every time I would try and get a hold of him, it was some weirdness of, hey, you got to call my people and they'll call you back and connect you. And then one of the days I get a phone call and it's a handler that says, "Hey, I got so and so on the line. Are you ready to connect?" And it sounded like he just handed him the phone. And I just started fell out laughing, right? And I say that as an anecdotal story of I understand we all got to project a certain amount of success. We got to project greatness so we can be great. 100%. When can we turn it off as a people? When it's just me and you, Jerett, in the room, or me and you, Walter, or me and you, Jerett? Is it okay to just turn it off
You
and just
want
be
the real
like,
encounters,
hey,
huh? You want a
Yeah.
real encounter.
Yes.
yeah,
It's and I think I'm gonna take lead on this one, Jerett, because all right, I've been in that space before. So I believe that a lot of dentists see that this dude actually is humble, right? Because I've been that popular dentist before. Right? I've been that not even just popular in dentistry, but popular in rap, popular in the community, popular with ladies, popular with a lot of things, right? So I know that you do have safeguards up against a lot of things when things come your way. One of my biggest things is when I turned my life around was to come back into the dental community and just be different than you was. Give them, give them you. Don't be Hollywood. I think that's the biggest thing is don't be Hollywood. Even Jerry think I was Hollywood when I first met him, but I would tell him like, no, bro. Like
He wasn't.
when you give your number out to so many people,
Yeah.
and then it's like because at some point I used to have TV shows reaching out to me, record labels, like a lot of things reaching out to me. You don't know who's who, especially when you operate in the devil land, right? So your discernment
Mhm.
is low because everybody is an enemy, right? Everybody is out to get you. Everybody wants something. That's what it is. But when you actually go into this, and I don't know who you was talking about, but I can tell you my transition. I'm like, nah, these people are cool. Like that was my first thing, and it was easier for me to let down because I didn't have to look over my shoulder so much, you know.
I would say this, like, I think the reason why it happens is because that individual, I no, I'm glad that you said that, Rose, because not a lot of doctors understand what it's like to be in that limelight. Like, it's extreme. Like when Rose and I met for that time, like the story, we'll leave that for DARKCon, but it's just like when we met, I was like, whoa, really? But then I took a step back. I was like, wait a second. If you had the attention and everybody vying for you, there's a
Mhm.
certain way that you have to move to protect yourself. And we don't always get that as doctors, even though we're deified by our patients. We don't always want to have be at the front desk saying, "Hey, how you doing?" We want to be in the back taking care of business. So it's just like, unfortunately, that happened. But I would say this: that individual was probably not shown how to present themselves in a way that you could be important without not being a jerk or stay at with my handlers. And that's why DarkCon's so important because we're going to bring the best of the best, but show an environment of what do black people are mostly about? It's community, it's coming together, it's sharing, it is excellence, it is, taking it to that next level, but doing it together. And so I believe that when you have platforms that are willing to share and serve, that's going to get that individual attention. Like, yo, I don't have to do this. And I could get the bag and I could be protected because somebody's going to protect me. I don't have to protect myself.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is when the environment's created, there's going to be a lot of scales that fall off people's eyes. There's going to be a lot of guards that drop off. And there's going to be people like, man, like that person felt like they wanted to commit suicide. Like
Mm.
these things aren't talked about enough.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah.
believe that when we have these platforms and we share them, individuals don't have to give you the cold shoulder like I felt, but not many people are going to have the maturity to be like, nah, that person's just having a bad day. Or I could understand where they're coming from because the limelight's always on them. And if you've never been in it, you won't understand.
Jerett, I always feel like I gave him a cold show. Man, I had a whole security with me too. Jerett, don't know.
We don't have time for that.
I got a
Listen, we're
big
not, we're
security
not.
team and all that. No, Jerett,
Listen,
like
listen.
I'm over here. I got a big security man with me and all that
Look,
stuff. So
look. You've
Jerett,
We're gonna
changed.
call him
You've changed.
Hollywood Rose.
You've
That's
yeah.
changed.
his
He
nickname,
always
Hollywood
like, you gave me
Rose.
a cold show. Bro, I got like security. I got this person with me.
Uh,
All this, man. I got
Hey
assistants
man,
with me.
but no, I mean,
Well, let
but
me.
the thing is, he had to have it. Go ahead.
But no, let me ask you guys this, and this is something that I've noticed. Is it's the difficulty of putting events together. So I'm asking you guys this question: what has been the hardest part of putting this event together? And sometimes it could just, I mean, like Horton has said this multiple times. Dealing with people may be the hardest thing we've ever done. We deal with people as professionals, as dentists, and then we deal with people when we're trying to put something good like this together. So, what has been the hardest thing? Is it sponsorship? Is it collaboration and trying to get people to come in and share their knowledge? Is it financial? What has been the hardest part for you guys when it comes to the curators? I think that's what you guys use, being the curators of this DARKCon. What has been the hardest thing for you guys to do?
Jerett, if you ask me, I'm pretty sure he'd say the same thing. It hasn't been hard yet.
It hasn't been hard.
Mm,
It hasn't been hard yet. And I always tell him, it's going well. But, we got to always think about what could happen.
okay.
We pray before every meeting. We pray at the end of every meeting. We put our egos, we check it before we get on every Zoom call. We talk, and we all push each other to be great because it was like, man, when we did the trailer video, like I was telling John, like, hey, bro, I gotta hold my part down because they held their part down. So I had to go into the studio and do it. We had to record because we shot some recording, but it really didn't make what we like. So we had to go add more. We had to shoot a lot more. And I was like, John, I need you to go in on this, man. So it's about accountability, knowing that, hey, you got to hold that line. Like you really got to hold that line. And that really means you got to do your part in order for us to do well. Like you have to. And this group right now that we're working with, they're all doing their part. And that's the blessing. The beautiful thing about it is it ain't nobody but the Holy Spirit. That's why I keep going back to it. It's like I can't, like, I don't know, like, ah.
Can I just say
So,
how
so
rare? Can I just say how rare what you just said is? And I want people to understand that when you're dealing with doctors, people that have always been good, right? Meant, I mean, it just they've always been the best in their class. They've always been just excellent, right? And they're very type A. For you to say that you everybody put their ego aside, I'm talking about this is, I mean, you want to talk about a miracle. That's it right there. Tell me if I'm wrong.
no, it's facts.
Tell me if I'm wrong, right?
I need a
That's it.
miracle right now, bro. Hey, send some of the miracles over my way.
There it is.
We praying for y'all, man.
I need some ego set down a little bit. Me out.
But
I just
Dr. Williams, you were going to say something?
Nah, the thing is this is that when Rose and I came together, we saw greatness in each other. And since I wasn't trying to be Dr. Rose and he wasn't trying to be Dr. Williams, and we saw greatness in each other and we could respect that, and then we led with that, hand selecting our team who are great at what they do and they're opposite of who we are. And we showed that. We showed them grace when there was grace needed. We showed them patience when patience was needed. Like we gave them things that a tribe would need in order to get to their goal. And when everybody's operating in their gifted area, it makes it easy because everybody's not working hard. They're just operating a gift. And so if you see a fish never struggles to swim. A bird never struggles to fly. But if you take that fish and put him underwater and be like, you need to do this, that fish
Yeah.
is going to die. And so that bird's going to die. And so we just we found individuals who number one had good characters and they were the best of the best, and we just said, hey, what do you want to bring to the table? What do you envision? We created a vision. We said, hey, this is what we want to do. How can you add to this? And we let them run. We didn't say, hey, you need to be here, this, nah. And that's why it's been so seamless. It hasn't been without challenge, but I would say this has been phenomenal, and I believe that is a rubric to creating excellence repeated predictably.
And we learn from each other because I'm more of a chill, laid back person. He more of a stress. And like now, I'll be like, bro, this need to happen. He'd be like, bro, just chill. Like you would say, just chill, bro. It's gonna happen when it happens. That's usually me. So when challenges do come, I'm always like, hey, bro. He like, nah, just chill. What you always tell me is gonna happen when it's happened. So that's the kind of approach we take.
That's what's up. So I'll shoot my last question, and then you can hit yours, Walt. So one of my struggles in my endeavors has been as creative as I feel I am, and I just toot my own horn. I came up with this concept about 8 years ago of creating a Black Implant Study Club. And what I called it was the Black Implant Consortium, BIC, the play on bone to implant contact, right?
Mm.
So now here you guys have Black Implant Collective. I see the theme is kind of an aesthetic theme with you guys, and the theme that I had brought for this year's NDA is the aesthetic zone demystified. So I feel like I'm in the midst of my people here because everyone is thinking like me, right? So I'm loving that I'm talking to you guys because I feel like I'm with my kin because there's so much commonality that we have. But I'm also, I guess, wise enough to know that
I like to feel it.
my chapter's changing and there's a new generation that really knows how to speak to the young up and coming dentists in a way that I'm becoming a bit more outdated, and that's just a natural generational progression, right? How important is it for the future of our profession to be able to get these old heads that I'm dealing with, the older heads that I'm dealing with, because I'm an old head, there's older heads, and there's you young bucks right now, for people to let go of the reins and say, hey, these young doctors need to have more agency and more power in the creation of content because a DARKCon is something that's needed, but it's not something I could create. It's not something the people ahead of me could create. It really has to be organic from the people that are there now, which is you. What do you say to the older generation of dentists that are kind of vanguarding and gatekeeping some of these organizations? And they don't have the ability to create what you're
What
obviously creating.
what if I told you you're needed? When you said a black implant study group, you're needed. You can't go get no young dentist to come up with 35 years of research. You can't. I don't care if you try, you can't. Because you have to understand what worked and what didn't work. You're needed in the fact of studying how to create things better for the future. So a young dentist can market your product. Your stewardship, your leadership is needed, and your wisdom is needed, and your insight of saying, hey, I have this product line. I need you, just like I come from a different arena. Right? I come from a music arena to where I've seen a lot of older CEOs and in an entertainment arena to where all they did was be agents. They was agents for the younger guys to help them be the face of it, but they was really putting them in a position to carry the reign, but also the years of research allowed the younger entertainers to do what they did. So I took that same mind frame into dentistry. Like, no, the reason why we need the wisdom, because they're gonna guide us through failures and they're gonna give us that backbone and support when we come across oppression, when we come across those who playing hardball. And when we need that signature of stamp to say, hey, I need your implant study, because we're not only gonna take your implant study and multiply it 10 times, we're going to make sure you get credit for it. We want to make sure you get credit for it because you put a lot of work in here, OG. So this is what we do. The Gillette studies and all that stuff out there, bring it. We're going to organize into one journal and we're going to create it. And when we start pushing this to the younger generation, they're going to know about you. They're going to know about everything that came before them because we put the study groups into one place, and the power lies in the structure. They get us because we don't have unity in our structure. Once we get unity in our structure by bringing all our knowledge into one centerfold, then what can they do now?
Well
Okay.
said, brother. Well
I'm
said.
not going to follow up with that at all because that was deep. And
That was a good one to end
there's
on,
nothing
man.
for me to
That was
say.
beautiful.
But I would like to say, guys, thank you so much for taking the time. Honestly,
Absolutely.
uh this was fun. I got a chance to listen to people genuinely, kind of speak our language. I got a chance to listen to people that seem very passionate about what they're trying to accomplish in dentistry. And one thing that I wanted to kind of ask real quick is, we see if you talk to the younger group, if you talk to the older group, there's one consistency, which is people are not happy in dentistry. They're not. You guys seem to be very happy in dentistry, and I'm blessed enough to be. I mean, we wouldn't be doing this if Horton and I didn't love dentistry. Like, who wants to get off of work and then talk more dentistry, right? But this is what we're doing right now, right? So
Uh,
we enjoy dentistry, but not a lot of us enjoy dentistry. And being black, it's difficult enough. 3.8%. Dr. Williams mentioned that. And now we're sitting here going, we feel isolated, we feel alone. And I think that this is hopefully what you guys are also trying to accomplish, which is bringing people together to say you are not alone. So, can
Yeah.
you guys speak more on that? And then we'll kind of wrap it up for this.
Now, I want to give y'all two a shout out because I went and saw y'all work. Y'all work is great. Like I seen it. Like uh, it is impeccable, and y'all are the reason why. Because a lot of younger generation look at the numbers, but don't look at the studies. They don't look at the years of going through those studies, the pain that y'all had to overcome. So I just want to say, like, I've seen y'all work. It is great. And I just want to give y'all a shout out on here for actually giving us the platform to be on
thanks,
today.
man.
Yeah, it's all good.
I
I would
appreciate
say
that, brother.
this, as an attending at at the GPR program here at UT, I am the only, no, take that back. There's another doc that's present there. Um, he's one of the attendings, and there's not many black educators at UT or any dental school for that matter, except Howard and Meharry. Uh, Going there, I've seen a lot. And one thing I like to do is I like to single out black students and say, gotcha, and let them know that, hey, I'm here for them. And one story I want to leave with you all is this. We had a resident come in and she comes in and I see her, beautiful young lady. Now I'm married, so 13 years, so there's no funny business. But I see her and I say, hey, I just want to let you know you're smart, you're intelligent, and you belong. Now, I've seen her all of 5 minutes. And she looks at me, she's like, thank you. Now, she goes to her operator and she starts to work before she's going to sit down. I'm sitting and she's standing and she's wiping her eyes. I'm like, what's going on? She's wiping her eyes again. What's going on? And then her eyelash falls on her lap. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And she's bawling.
Mm.
Now, I haven't seen this young lady all of 5 minutes, and I say to her, you're smart, you're intelligent, and you belong. Now, this young lady went to school in the Northeast. Getting to school in the Northeast is a little challenging, but she went through successfully. And I was puzzled because I came home and I told my wife what happened. My wife, who's a physician, Nigerian, she was just like, Jared, what you did is you saw her. And I was like, ooh. And it like pierced me to the soul. And I was like, oh my goodness. And so I would have never known that if I didn't understand the struggles that my wife went through as a black woman going through medicine. And here we have the wonderful opportunity to eradicate that feeling from not just black women, but from black males as well that are going through the same exact thing. And so when we create a platform such as this, the goal is to share with them, hey, you matter. And not many doctors especially Black doctors, believe that they matter. Like imposter syndrome is real and is committing divorces, it's committing suicides, it's committing um, autoimmune diseases, things that are just erasing us from the field of dentistry. And so if we understand by creating a platform and just, hey, I see you, you matter, and I've never met you, it will instill something inside that individual for them to cry out of lashes. Like lashes are expensive. They can be expensive. And she's crying off on somebody that she doesn't even know. And so I want to end on that note and like leave a pin there because when you see somebody who's typically not ever being seen and you acknowledge somebody who's typically not being acknowledged, that's how you allow somebody to be like, yo, wait a second, I matter. I want to serve. And they open up and become something that they never would have because the environments that are already set up. Like Rose said it, affirmative action is dead. DEI is dying and dead. So if you're not attending the NDA or DARKCon, you're not going to be able to make it, period. And so to be able to have this opportunity that you're giving us, man, we really appreciate it because y'all could have said, screw y'all. We don't want to, I don't want to fool with you because this is competition. But for you guys to open up this platform with the individuals and the viewers that are going to watch this and observe, nah, man, there's so much out there that we all could benefit, generalists and specialists. And if we take this opportunity to support each other and serve each other, man, the suicide rates are going to go down, the divorces are going to go down, the success of dentistry and their cases are going to go up because it's not going to be about superficial things like status and money. It's going to be like, hey, I'm serving you because you matter. And I'll
Well,
leave it there.
goddamn, brothers, I could be here all day. Tell us how we can get to DarkCon. Before we leave, we need to know what links to go to, what pages, how to sign up, because if anyone's been sold now and the price is me, okay? So I just want to, lend my verbal support and hopefully I can be there in person. I would love to hang out with you
That's
guys
love. That's love, man.
in person. So tell the audience how they can get to DarkCon in July.
Oh, Jerry gonna sit back now. You can follow us at, he gonna sit
Listen,
back.
he gave a
I
great
dropped
speech.
Mike. Hey, I dropped Mike. I told you I dropped Mike. I ain't speaking no more. You can follow us at Go Darkton on IG, or you can follow us on the website at thedarkcon.com.
The
Uh, the
THE darkcon.com because I've been there like 50 million times this week. You know, it's a great website. I mean, and the way you guys are doing it, where you're announcing the
The
speakers, is
rollout,
really exciting.
fire. The
Yeah,
way you guys are
it's
rolling
a
out the speakers is fire.
yeah.
Man, competition, no competition. I'm using you guys as the living example
That's
when
it.
I'm telling the other people, hey, this is how you got to do it.
That's it.
it takes a team,
These
man.
guys are demonstrating it.
And now I say, man, it takes a team because we have. If y'all need graphic designers, we have structured and organized people. What you see, I'm a lot of art, and Jerett is a lot of structure, and we're creating this flow state, and it goes back and forth between art and structure, and I love it when we talk about it in the group and everything, because you'll see some neurodivergent people in our group. They'll be like this, while Jerett talking like, ah man, this dude I did it again, but we love it so, but they could,
But
And then
let me just real
real
quick.
quick,
I want to shout these ladies
please.
out. Dr. Shante Reed,
Okay.
phenomenal. Dr. Monica Wheeler Sangster, phenomenal. And Dr. Fatima Robertson, phenomenal. This couldn't get done by just him and I. We're just the
at all.
face that's here that you see. These young ladies are holding us accountable and they're putting our feet to the fire, and it cannot be done without these wonderful black, prominent,
And
productive
shout out to all
women.
the presenters too, man. Like they've come aboard and man, they've been of help. They've been helping us, man. Like I can't say anything over. Like we appreciate y'all, Dr. Mir, Dr. Brandon, Dr. Jiro, Dr. Eva. Like all out. Shout out to all of them. I can keep on going all day, man. Thank y'all. We thank everybody. We thank you, Dr. Walt, Dr. Leroy.
Nah.
Appreciate y'all.
I'm excited. I'm gonna say I'm very excited. I thank you guys for coming on and answering our questions. We weren't the easiest to deal with, I'm sure, but we had to be honest. We had to let our listeners know exactly what they were getting themselves into, right? And so in order for you to hear from the source, that's again why Truth Be Told was created, so that we could be honest with whoever's listening and not feel like we're just kind of selling them stuff. We don't sell anything. You guys don't pay us for anything. We wanted to make sure that the people that started this came on and had this discussion, and you guys represented big time. So thank you so
Blew
much.
it out the water. Love it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I really do pray that you guys have a successful DARKCon, and it should be fun. It should be many years of this. And I mean that the lineup, the lineup. I mean, I'm already. I mean, I'm watching. The lineup is incredible. And it is very diverse. And when I say diverse, I'm talking about you're getting the whole scope of stuff in dentistry that people don't even know yet,
Yeah.
right? From facial aesthetics and everything. So I'm excited. So guys, thank you, gentlemen, and
Thank you.
and the ladies that are behind them doing all the work. Thank you, ladies.
Thank y'all, ladies. To God.
Honestly, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank y'all,
Thank
doctors.
you.
Thank you.